Well, when we were younger, we spent, probably Charlie compared to now spent a lot more time. I spent a fair amount more time looking at companies. But if we were doing it over again, we would do it over again pretty much the same way. We would look at everything in sight that we thought we could understand. And the world hasn't changed in that respect. There may be some more people doing it, but there are a lot more companies to look at now. And we would read everything in sight about the businesses and the industries we thought we could understand. We would look for things that jumped out at us as being very cheap in relation to value, and we would have one enormous advantage because we would be working with far less capital, which means the universe of potential ideas would be far greater. But there's nothing different, in my view, about analyzing securities now than there was 50 years ago. Charlie?
Yeah, we read a lot and we thought a lot. I don't know anybody who is wise who doesn't read a lot. And on the other hand, that alone won't do it. You have to have a temperament, really, which grabs the correct ideas and does something with those ideas. And I think most people who read a lot don't have the necessary temperament, and they grab the ideas or they're simply confused by the mass of material. And of course that won't work.
Yeah, there's probably something. Phil Cray used to talk about having a money mind, and I would call it a business mind. And there are people that are better with identical IQs that are better adapted for one than the other. And the temperament is all important. I mean, if you can't control yourself, no matter what the intellect you bring to the process, you're going to have disasters. And Charlie and I have seen one after another that it's not a business that requires extraordinary intellect. It does require extraordinary discipline, and that shouldn't be so difficult, but as I look around the world sometimes, it apparently is quite difficult. I mean, the whole world went a little mad a few years back in terms of investments, and you say to yourself, how could that happen? Don't they learn anything from the earlier ones? But what we learn from history is that people don't learn from history, and you certainly see that in financial markets all the time. It's very impressive to read about people pondering how to figure out the weight of the earth or something in the 18th century. And you would think minds that could do that would do very well in financial matters. But, if you remember, Isaac Newton spent a significant part of his life trying to turn lead into gold. And he might have made a good stockbroker, but it didn't do much for him financially. Charlie knows more about Isaac than I do.
Well, and he lost an enormous chunk of his net worth in the South Sea bubble, so he invested in an absolute crooked mania. And here was the smartest man in the world. So just IQ points alone won't do it. You understate the evil that crept into our leading accounting firms when they started selling these fraudulent tax shelters in exchange for contingent fees. One of them actually explained to me that they were an ethical seller of fraudulent tax shelters. He said the other firms just sold these to anybody, and we just sold them to our 20 most important clients, so they were more likely to stay secret.
Yeah, and of course the lawyers would write the opinion so that if they did get caught with these things that they hoped that no one even picked up because they were so obscure or convoluted, the lawyers wrote the opinion so that they could walk, when the IRS came around, they could wave that letter and say, well, gee, we're sorry we made a mistake, but we did it on the advice of counsel, and therefore you shouldn't assess fraud penalties or anything. I mean, we don't want to leave the lawyers out of this, Charlie. We had people come to our office, not the auditing firm that we use. I want to make that clear, but we had people come to our office from the top auditing firms with these propositions which they said we had to sign away a given percentage of the amount we saved, and then they would give us these proprietary methods which would usually involve about 20 offshore trusts and partnerships around the world and all kinds of things. Part of the design being to have so many entities involved so that the numbers that popped up here or there on the return, that no agent could figure out what the totality of the transaction was. And it's the people that don't pay taxes because of that increase the taxes of the people in this room.
It's as though God made the world so that only people fluent in math could understand it. I think you can handle ordinary human activity pretty well, but if you want to understand, say, science, you can't do it without math. That's just the way it is. And in business, if you're innumerate, you're going to be a klutz.
Keep talking, I'm chewing. We'll go back. Go ahead.
The good thing about business is you don't have to know any high math.
It may be a disadvantage to know high math.
Yes, I think it is, because you look for opportunities to use this marvelous, complicated tool, and by and large that doesn't work nearly as well as just using the simple math.
Yeah. When my mother sang me songs about compound interest, there really wasn't any need to go further.
Thank you very much for your countless insights about investing and life, for that matter. My question has to do with Bill Gates. You've gone on record stating that Bill Gates is the smartest person you've probably met in your life. Charlie, sorry to break it to you.
No, I haven't said that quite, but you're close.
Close. And you've also mentioned that he can do your job, you probably could not do his.
That's entirely correct.
Okay. So that being the case, given his aptitude, his accomplishments, his ability to keep great people together within Microsoft, would you consider having him become the future chairman of Berkshire in one of two ways? Either a merger, and if a merger doesn't make sense because it's a technology company and you don't understand it, so you don't want anything to do with Microsoft, but the second being he resign his post as chairman of Microsoft in order to keep the masterpiece that you've assembled together, as well as keep these very talented managers of all the Berkshire Hathaway companies together with a leader that you so respect because of his accomplishments and aptitude.
Did Bill put you up to this?
He did not.
No, I know that. It's not a crazy suggestion, but we've got a better answer. Bill could do my job very well, and I could not do his job. But we also have at least 4 people within the Berkshire organization that in many respects could do my job better than I do, and probably in 1 or 2 respects they might not be as good at certain parts of it, but they would be terrific successors. We're more blessed in that situation than we've ever been in the history of Berkshire. If you go back 15 years, we did not have 4. And as we add businesses, it's not inconceivable that more potential future leaders come with those businesses. So we're well equipped, and we will, barring something terribly unusual, we will have a leader that succeeds me that comes from within Berkshire and has been around for a long time. Well, one advantage of that, and this would not be necessarily a disadvantage if it were Bill, but one advantage to that is that we really like the culture at Berkshire, and having someone that has operated in that culture for a number of years, I think is a plus. Plus, we've seen how they work, and we know their pluses and minuses, and we're very well equipped now. And Bill, I think, to the extent that he spends less time at Microsoft, and he will probably be, the Gates Foundation will take up perhaps more of his time. I don't really think he is looking for my job, although he may salivate at the pay level that's available. But, Charlie?